You want to know how fast things can go sideways in suburbia? Picture this. I'm sitting at an HOA board meeting just trying to blend in when Karen Duvall, yes, that Karen comes barreling in, face the color of an overripe tomato, waving legal papers like she's on a game show. She's yelling, "He can't do this. He's consolidating my street." You ever see a grown woman about to hyperventilate over a deed? Because let me tell you, it's something else. I just leaned back, flipped through the paperwork, calm as a cat at a sunbeam. I'm not just leaving the HOA. I told them I'm erasing it. Yeah, that happened. Let me back up a sec. My name's Ethan Maris. When I bought my little fixer-upper in Juniper Hollow, I wanted what everyone else does, a quiet life, a garage big enough for my woodworking mess, and maybe a little bit of actual freedom. But the second the ink dried on the closing papers, the HOA came sniffing around. Karen, the president, with her clipboard and her laminated copy of the neighborhood rules, saw me as an existential threat to, well, beige conformity, I guess. She measured grass with a ruler, drove a Prius with a coexist sticker, which, is hilarious because she couldn't tolerate anyone who colored outside the lines. First, it was $25 for my navy blue mailbox. Not HOA regulation slate, so naturally it was disruptive. Then came a $50 fine for using redwood mulch. Apparently it clashed with the approved landscape aesthetic. I painted my front door a nice forest green and got written up for disrupting the harmony of the block. I tried talking to her, said Karen, "It's just a door." She squinted at me like I'd set the place on fire. "Rules are rules, Ethan. Chaos is the enemy." I told her maybe a little chaos would be a breath of fresh air around here, and she just scribbled out another citation for argumentative conduct. You know what I mean. So I dug into the original 1998 covenant and found a sunset clause a way out. I filed the paperwork ready to be done. Karen lost her mind. She dragged me to court, claimed I'd destroy property values, sow anarchy, maybe summon locusts, who knows? Her lawyer, Trent, kept calling me pal and wore ties with cartoon dogs like that, made him more credible. Their whole argument was that my leaving would irreparably harm the fabric of suburban life. The judge's eyebrows nearly hit the ceiling. I produced a dusty clause from 1994, one the original developer tucked in, allowing a unilateral exit if certain taxes were paid. Trent hadn't done his homework. The judge tossed the case, ordered Karen to pay my legal fees, $3,000 straight out of the HOA's emergency stash. That's when the real fun began. Karen started blocking my driveway with her Prius, telling neighbors I was a radical bent on turning Juniper Hollow into a commune. Mrs. Patterson asked me if I planned to put a hot tub in my front yard. I said maybe just to see what would happen. But then Karen made her fatal mistake. She banned me from every community event. Barbecue gone. Halloween off the list. Book club. I guess my taste in thrillers was too much for the beige brigade. That was the last straw. If I couldn't be part of the neighborhood, maybe I'd just own it. Most folks in Juniper Hollow were retirees looking to downsize, and I know a deal when I see one. The Hendersons wanted Florida sun. The Yamadas were done pulling weeds. The Kellys were itching to be near their grandkids. I wrote hand-signed letters, cash offers, no agents above market. Within 2 weeks, 6 families said yes. 2 more caved after Karen hassled them about garage doors and unsightly storage. The Patels practically handed me their keys after she wrote them up for leaving the door open while unloading groceries. Suddenly, I owned 7 houses on one street. Quietly. No fanfare. Karen didn't have a clue. See, in the HOA bylaws, every property gets a vote, no matter who owns it. Karen was so obsessed with individual compliance, she never imagined one guy could become the majority. So at the next meeting, her living room vanilla candles burning Karen in her best power blazer, I motioned to dissolve the HOA and start a private co-op. She sputtered, "That's illegal," but I had the original covenant right there. Majority vote dissolves the HOA if you give 60 days notice. I raised 11 notarized ballots. That's impossible, Karen croaked, looking at her treasurer Mike, who starts listing off my new properties, mouth hanging open. Wait, when did you get the Stevens place? Last Tuesday, I said. Nice folks tired of fighting about their vegetable garden. And I'd just scooped up the empty duplex next to Karen's, too. Motion passed. HOA gone. Karen powerless. She stormed out muttering about lawyers and the decline of civilization. For good measure, she sued me again. Emotional distress, conspiracy, weaponized capitalism. Her new lawyer, slightly more competent, claimed I'd preyed on the community's heart and soul. The judge, after seeing Karen's stack of complaints, 26 about sidewalk scooters, 17 about lawns, a 40-page screed about Christmas lights, just said, owning property isn't a crime, Ms. Duvall. Neither is buying it. Case dismissed with prejudice. But here's the twist. Karen's downfall was her own obsession. She'd spent so much time policing the block that she ignored a leak in her basement. By the time she noticed, the mold had taken over. The place failed 3 inspections, sat on the market for 2 months, and sold for $80, $1,000 under list. She moved out with her Prius, packed to the gills, and her dignity somewhere back in the HOA records. Her parting shot on Facebook, moving somewhere that values order and decency. I commented, best of luck with that. She blocked me, but not before I screenshotted it for my new Airbnb listing. Oh, did I mention the Williams family next to Karen sold to me right after she chewed them out about their fence? I turned that house into a paintball-themed Airbnb hey-hell escape. First in town, top-rated in a week. Folks took selfies with my rainbow mailbox, left reviews like 5 stars for freedom, left my trash can out for a whole day, and nobody cared. Meanwhile, Karen peered out from behind blackout curtains as paintball players laughed in the yard she once ruled. That, my friend, is poetic justice. Now Juniper Hollow's a real neighborhood again, lawns, a little wild flamingos out front, families planting whatever they want. The artists, the retirees, the oddballs, they all get along fine. I still live here, same green door, same navy mailbox. Only now I own most of the block and sleep better, knowing the only rule that matters is mind your own dang business. So here's what I learned. If you're going to try to rule with an iron fist, you better check who's got the deed to the castle. Karen learned the hard way, one property at a time. You ever see someone so obsessed with control that they lose everything? Well, now you have. Anyway, that's my story about how one stubborn neighbor turned a peaceful street into a war zone, and how sometimes the best revenge is just living free and letting everyone else do the same. What do you think? Was I wrong for playing the long game? Or is there such a thing as going too far in the name of community standards? Let me know. I've got time, and plenty of paintballs left.